Hi guys, Martin Curry from Belief Media. Welcome to our fourth podcast called Rescue Package.
Hello, Domenico from Belief Media, here with my business partner Martin Curry.
Hello.
How are you?
Excellent.
That's good. We're going to be discussing the rescue package in today's podcast. The main purpose of the rescue package being to allow anyone who's invested in another competing product in the digital marketing space an opportunity to migrate across, especially if their experience has been pretty under par to expectations and what would be expected from a digital marketing platform.
I guess the point is they won't know, first of all, it's selected competing products, only those that we've evaluated at this stage, and I'll come back to talk about it in a moment, but at this stage it's only those products that we've determined are less effective than our free product. So less effective than the product we give away for free. And we've seen people pay, between $5,000 and $15,000 for a product that's objectively garbage and less effective than the product we give away for free. The digital industry has to change. The industry as we know it, certainly in the finance industry or any industry really, we deal with 170 odd industries, but just specialise in finance. But certainly as the finance industry knows it, marketing is broken. And the fact that people are paying out this money for a product that's less effective than Uranus being the product that we give away for free. And we'll come to talk about that actually because it has been rebranded slightly. So the other point you made was if people determined that their product, what do you say, their product is not up to spec or something? What do you say?
Not up to what would be expected from a digital marketing product.
They won't know that, unfortunately. So they'll have to revisit maybe some of our other podcasts or read some of our material or visit our website or something so they get an appreciation of what a digital experience is meant to look like. And certainly get an appreciation of what a digital marketing funnel is, because the marketing industry, as it applies to finance, has really never been exposed, to the best of our knowledge, certainly with these products we're about to mention, have never been exposed to a marketing funnel. There's a sales funnel in place, a moderately passive sales funnel in place, but not a marketing funnel. And again, I might come to talk about that a little bit. I know this is a rescue package, but we will touch on it. So,
so I thought we'll go into what the rescue package is, and then we'll come back into some of the definitions, especially the difference between a sales funnel and a marketing funnel would be good to.
Yeah, but look,
it's later.
Just one other thing is we probably need to touch on features. We should have talked about this before we hit the record button, because we probably need to touch on features so people understand those defining differences that separates what we provide brokers compared to what other people provide brokers. But go into what you were talking about and we'll come back to it.
Okay, so with the rescue package, if you're using one of the following products, being Mortgage Mastery, Andrew's Facebook training, Backpack, Mortgage Magnet, if you're using one of those products, and then we've got some conditions in use. So some of the conditions we have are, one, you have used that product for 6 months and actually undertaken and participated fully in that product and system as it's expected. That you also would surrender all your marketing material, so we can do an evaluation on how much you did participate and actually follow through on the program. After the 3 months, we would like to sit down and do a podcast where you can discuss your experience between the product you were using and our product. And another couple of conditions, we only can take a limited number of people per month, being a heavily reduced pricing of that product. It does take time. We want to also make sure we're offering the same service as we would for anyone paying the full product.
Because our support is part of the product.
Yeah.
And that takes up an enormous amount of our time.
Yes, and I should also add that the offer will be valid until the end of January 2021.
At this stage, the rescue product has existed for 5 years now in various forms. And it will continue to exist in one way or another. It'll probably continue as like a small discount that's applied to the entry price or something similar. We really haven't come up with based on our new product, we haven't come up with an ongoing discount there. And I don't think we'll have that until the end of January. In fact, being November something now.
Yeah, so the initial pricing to participate in the program, besides meeting all those conditions, will be $97 per month for the first 4 months. And then from there, we'll switch to either the regular price or a discounted price.
$97 for the first 4 months. That's less than $400 for the most sophisticated. We say this over and over, but I'll say it again in here. The most sophisticated, the most powerful, the easiest to use, the only full stack, and probably the only compliant digital marketing and social media management solution in the industry. Simple as that, black and white, clear as crystal. Our product is infinitely more powerful than anything else on the market. And look, part of the rescue package, it's probably prudent to discuss, at least in brief, our language and our tone and our demeanour when we talk about some of these other products floating around, because it can come across as very egotistical and rude. But people have to understand that we're critical, and we do so only because it's heartbreaking to see people waste money. And I think we talked about in Hello World or A Closer Look, or one of those earlier podcasts where we talked about, Dunning-Kruger, the perpetual or the products that have been pushed out into the industry kind of as a common standard, when they are absolute and utter garbage. Dom and I have been doing this for 23 years, so we're very good at it. We've spoken all over the world, and we do so routinely, even to this day. And people continue to be sucked into that same experience, which comprises of stupid services like, and this applies if you've had digital representation, so paid digital representation. You've paid someone money and they've sent you off to lead pages, ClickFunnels, or Kartra, or any of those other silly landing page services and so on. Now, there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. There are 100 reasons for that, not the least of which is it diminishes the value of your website experience, which is the center of your marketing universe and contributes in an enormous way, to organic traffic that is derived from search engines and social media and so on. B, the notion that you would host your landing pages, right? A landing page being just a standard page, email, an offer, and it provides a subscription experience. But the notion that you would pay to have your pages hosted on somebody else's website is absurd, because it completely negates the ability to suck people into your marketing experience by way of conditional content, by way of curating and creating a unique and powerful, real digital marketing funnel experience. So it is so important, guys. It is just so important that you have if you're going to pay for something, it has to be good. And those people that are charging money for lead pages, ClickFunnels, Kartra, and others are ripping you off, and they probably don't know it because they're not clever enough to. So, and there's that tone when I say, we come across as ego and whatever else, and it's not true.
They're stitching together in a way that's known to be successful. You still get advertising that's successful out of it. Some known products in a way that you could actually do yourself with a bit of proper training in how to use those products and pull them together.
Yeah.
And when I say successful, I suppose it comes back to, look, if you do any decent advertising or any marketing that's reasonable, you are going to get results.
Decent advertising that is reasonable, that's a whole other podcast. I don't even know if we have one scheduled, but last night I occasionally look at broker websites all the time for different reasons, and do so for the purpose of research. So I force Facebook into recognizing my behavior. So it just shows me mortgage broker ad after mortgage broker ad after mortgage broker ad, and for whatever reason, there's a whole bunch of ads that came through on Kartra, which is like this. It's kind of like a really crap version of what we do that isn't designed for mortgage brokers. So it doesn't provide website experience, doesn't provide conditional content, doesn't provide a conditional experience. They do say that they do, but they're just basic email triggers and things. It doesn't provide an integrated experience. Our landing pages are still hosted on their shit site. They're still, that doesn't include telco, it doesn't include white label media, it doesn't include RBA stuff, it doesn't include newsletter stuff, it does not include social media, it doesn't include a raft of features. We've got 110 modules on ours. They've got about 5 or 6 which they do in a very generic manner. A very generic manner. And we're about 25% of the price, by the way, of their system. It just puts everything in perspective. And we're able to do that because it's just 2 of us really that run the upper echelon of the organisation. We're supported by a bunch of young girls that work for us, but it's really only us 2. It's not like we've got 140 staff. So we're able to provide our product at a really efficient and fantastic price. Now, I watch these ads come through, and they all had the Kartra link, and they're all the same ad. There are variations, right? But they were all the same ads, which were all refinancing. Obviously, at the moment, interest rates are very low. The RBA's just cut. It's all over the news, so people know they have to refinance. But they're all variations of the same dumb long-form ad. They were some of the worst ads I've seen ever. And on par, maybe, with the Jack and Jill crap we saw come out of that. You know, Jack and Jill went up there to get a mortgage and all that sort of crap. So,
you're only just meeting up with a mortgage broker this morning to discuss their ads.
Yeah, I don't often, because I'm in Sydney, so I don't often meet up with guys. This was a guy in Warwick Farm, and he had his first 4 leads within the time I was there. In the time that ad was delivering, we go onto the cost of leads and all sorts of things, the quality of leads, and all that sort of stuff in our other podcasts. But this guy converted one on the phone while I was there. I told him to call them literally straight away, and then when the other 3 came, I said, "Listen, I'm going to go and I'm going to let you deal with this." So,
had he come from one of the previous rescue packages?
No, he was a former growth client.
Okay,
we've been running mortgage broker or broker growth, which is a specific product, for the better part of 6 years, and he came aboard a couple of years ago, and he just wanted some help with some of the refinance stuff, and it was only because I was on the road getting my hair cut. And I said, while I'm on the road, I'll duck out and visit him. It was only a 15-20 minute drive.
No, I thought he'd come from a previous rescue package. Just I brought him up.
He came to me as a $12-13 million a year broker, and this year he'll be doing 130 mil. He's got his wife helping him now in the office. Their firstborn has gone off to school, so that company is now going to grow tremendously, and they've done really, really well, which is typical of our clientele. All our guys do well. It was but on those ads that came through, I saw those, and it irritated me because it's all generic, BS stuff, and I made a couple of notes to myself earlier on. All right, in advertising, not to be different is virtually suicidal. Bill Bernbach, he's obviously a legend in the advertising space. Not to be different is virtually suicidal, I should say. And that is absolutely true. He talks about, if you understand what an ad is and the promise that is made in that ad, you have to understand, you have to position yourself, you have to differentiate yourself, you have to be very clear and focused with your message, and I guess that focus has to be consistent throughout the entire marketing experience. And these ads I saw last night, and I screenshotted all of them because I'm going to use them in an article on the website of what not to do. They all started off on blasting the banks. The banks do this, the banks do that. This is why you don't go directly to the banks, because they were talking about the loyalty tax and all that sort of just that garbage. And you could tell that they were all written off the same template. In fact, 2 of them had 6 or 7 paragraphs that were the same. They were that long. And it just annoyed me. It was Dave Trott, actually. It said creativity may well be the last legal unfair advantage we have over the competition. That is one of my favourite quotes, I think, because no ad these days in the mortgage space tends to be creative. Brokers just want something out there and want something out there quickly. Now, here's the thing. We provide that turnkey experience in a way that these other products can't. Our ads can be submitted via our Solia system, which is limited release and limited access. They can be submitted at the click of a button. Creates your landing page, creates the ad, creates the email, autoresponder campaigns, creates the voice drops, creates the SMS messages, creates the escalating funnel experience, applies the rule set to your website. It does all these things which would otherwise take people 8 weeks. Does all that automatically on your website, your integrated website.
And that's important. It is integrated. Integration is a huge factor. And again, I've said this in previous podcasts. We'll continue to say it in future podcasts.
Yeah.
All components of our system speak together, be it the email marketing with the website, with the telco system, with the ads, with the social media integrations. It all speaks together to help form an integrated picture, so we get a very good view of the clients coming through and their interests and what they're after.
I did write a quote down here. This is from David Ogilvy, and if you know our relationship with David Ogilvy, at least the ideology and the psychology that we apply, we just, like David Ogilvy, we've got pictures up in the office of his old ads and things. David Ogilvy was instrumental in modern day direct marketing, at least the way we apply it now. And there's an article on our website called How to Sell Financial Advertising That Sells. This is something he wrote back in 1974 as part of a long series and sequence of how to create style of ads. And it is an indication, or at least it followed on from that ad we talked about a long time ago, which was about this stock and bonds business. It's a good example of what long form writing is meant to look like. You can't do it these days with Facebook. At least it's more difficult to do it these days with Facebook, because his ads were very descriptive. It was kind of an editorial piece that was intended for a print magazine, and people don't have the attention span now. And certainly these ads I read last night were so poorly written. The grammar was just atrocious. Just atrocious. I can't wait to put these on the website and show people what's out there in the market. I will de-identify them.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're not even talking about the creativity part of it. You're not talking about the copy part of it. You're talking about the very fundamental grammar in that example there.
And the copy itself was bad. So this quote comes from David Ogilvy. It's another one. I don't know why I wrote this down initially, but it's come at a good time. There isn't, and I'm glad I wrote it down because I would never remember that. There isn't any significant difference between the various brands of whiskey or cigarettes or beer. They are all about the same. And so are the cake mixes and the detergents and the margarines. The manufacturer who dedicates his advertising to building the most sharply defined personality for his brand will get the largest share of the market at the highest profit. Now, David Ogilvy, he was entitled to talk about positioning your brand. Do you remember we talked about Dove soap? It won't dry you. Poor David, he'd be disgusting the fact I'm struggling to remember. It won't dry out your hands like soap can. Right, David? That slogan has been positioned for 70 years, maybe 60 years. I don't remember when that was first introduced, but that was one slogan that's been consistent. Their branding has positioned differently, but that tagline essentially has remained the same. And they call it the Dove effect. In advertising, that's called the Dove effect, and that is how a brand manages to evolve in time but retain personality and retain itself firmly rooted in single principle. So, look, when David Ogilvy said all these brands are the same, I give brokers grief all the time and say, look, I look out some of the time and see a sea of blue suits. That's all I see. And you have to position yourself in a way that showcases your strengths and showcases your personality, showcases your company culture, and showcases and positions a specific message. Now, the only company that I've seen do that well quite recently, a company we don't deal with, is Athena. Athena Home Loans are I've never seen an ad from them over 2 lines. The See More link on Facebook. Sorry, I'm going to cough. I've had a cough for a couple of weeks. But that See More link will launch the disclaimer. It's consistent with RG 234, the applicable pieces of legislation that relate to financial marketing. It's just compliant. It's 2 lines. And they've always got a good image or something similar. Now, you don't have to have long form. If you're going to have long form advertising, you better make it damn good
And interesting.
and
Not
interesting.
repetitive.
When I saw these 4 ads pop up sequentially, by the way, they were one after the other. I couldn't tell one broker from any other. And the bozo, I'd love to know who's behind these, because the bozo has obviously told these people, put a photo of yourself up with your family. It's, show you're a family guy and whatever else.
This was on Facebook, was it?
This was on Facebook. So if your headline and your image represents essentially 90% of your marketing budget, those two things combined will stop someone from scrolling through Facebook. You better make sure they're damn good. So look, my point is the quality of marketing representation is shithouse in this industry. Please excuse my language. It does irritate me. And that's why Domenico and I have taken it upon ourselves to sort of course correct the industry and steer it in a better direction and provide people with real advertising advice, real marketing advice, and a real marketing funnel and a real system that manages their social media and their website and their Facebook marketing or Facebook advertising and their YouTube account, their Wistia account, their podcasts, and everything's interconnected. No, every system should talk to another system, and that's why I get so irritated. I've got to come back to this. I get irritated as hell when landing pages aren't hosted on somebody's website.
Yeah, that's a really sticky point with you. Yeah, it's every time you see it, it just it sets you off into a full-on spill. Yeah, and we should add, look, we've got people in the space, other marketeers that are really good, and we've got a lot of respect for.
Oh yeah.
So look, we're not doing a blanket comment across the whole industry, but there are still a lot of charlatans in there.
Charlatans and thieves, but you know what? You have to look long and hard to actually find the good guys. You have to dig deep.
Or word of mouth. They just need word of mouth. They don't need to sit there and advertise. A lot of their business comes in very quickly.
Well, 95% of our business is word of mouth. We don't advertise heavily on Facebook at all. We've never needed to. We're probably going to change that. And that's just to drown out the noise. We do things very, very differently on Facebook when we advertise. We just have a direct link. We give our lead magnets away for free. No name and email. We don't want the name and email initially. If we're going to communicate with someone and provide them with some information, we obviously need that. But we do it in different ways. And the best product promotion we've had has been giving stuff away, no name and email, because people read the material we provide them and go, holy crap, okay, and they jump on the blower or send us an email or subscribe to something else or request our pricing schedule, which is always delivered via PDF. And we get them into our own marketing funnel in very different ways. But guys, if you don't have your landing pages fully integrated with your website and your website is not designed to attract and convert, then your marketing representation has failed you. And get them to give me a call so I can scream at them a little. Because I'm sick of seeing people waste their money. I really am. I'm sick of having people come through our door here who have wasted money on lead pages and Kartra, who charge $100 a month minimum for the basic plan. They say, oh, you can host the landing pages on your website. What they want you to do is upload a file via FTP. Our landing pages on your website via our platform are created with a click of a button. In fact, there's 3 ways of creating landing pages within our system. One is a click of a button. It just sends it to your page and it's there, ready to go in 3 seconds. One of them is drag and drop via the interface. As soon as you've created a form, it makes it available from within the website. So if you want to drag it into a page, you can. And then there's actually building it via the Elementor page plugin, which is provided with all the websites we provide people. And the website we provide, guys, is part of our course package and it's free. We apply zero margin to the website because we need people to have it.
And we consider it a really core and critical part of your business.
It's the center of your marketing universe. I saw an ad the other day coming from a guy that was selling a sales funnel, not a marketing funnel, but a sales funnel, who's saying, I managed to do 5 million a month, 5 million a month in volume, and I've got 5 crappy pages on my website. I don't have this, I don't have that. And I thought to myself, man, okay, he's selling himself on the basis that any marketing is better than no marketing. That's where he's positioned himself. I'm crap at what I do, and I'm going to sell you the same crap experience because it delivers me 5 million a month in volume. 5 million a month in volume? He's actually admitting to the fact that he is that bad a broker that he's doing 5 million a month with paid promotion. I apologise for the coughing, but
that's fine. While you were talking about that, I realised when I was going through the conditions of the rescue package, I should have added another item on that, which is I did mention that you had fully engaged in the other products that I'd mentioned, one of the 4 products, but we expect the same engagement with our product, obviously. So if you're going to take our product for 4 months at that discounted rate, we do expect full engagement with the product and a serious usage and attempt at using all the features available, or the core features.
If people are going to jump on board for that, remembering our time is worth more than anything that you'll pay for access to the actual platform, and we supply that with access. So we go through your business strategy. The social media, digital marketing and social media platform that we provide is essentially in and of itself a blueprint for broker success. Everything's in there you need: the relationship-based stuff, the post-settlement programs. The social media stuff, just everything. There's 120 odd modules, I guess, if you add them all up. A small number of primary modules that are typical. But where was I headed?
Don't know, but the core system, they got access to the core system.
Oh, here's what I was saying. Actually, let me wind back the clock a touch. Once they come on board, we do expect them to engage with those modules because we are guiding them through it, right? And it's our time, which is you're talking to 2 of the leading financial practitioners in the country, right? Digital financial practitioners in the country, no question about it. And our time is one of those things that we freely give away to people, but we don't want people coming on board just for the sake of it. We treat digital marketing very seriously, and we treat the process very seriously. So it's not just a product that you're handed and you're expected to navigate yourself via the e-learning component of the system. We do hold your hand through the process. We're here on the blower whenever you need us, and we want you. We need you to achieve enormous amounts of success. And we're doing away with our NDA and privacy policy. We've always kept our clientele very, very secret because we've sold ourselves a secret weapon. There's a podcast that deals with that. I think it was in, I don't remember, the number 1 or number 3. And we talked about that in depth, and we've done away with that. So we are going to start to introduce brokers that have seen that level of success, that have, multiplied their business by essentially 10 times in a year, who have set up some amazing real estate-based referral partnerships that are delivering them 110 plus ready to go leads every single month. And that's enormous. That's forced a couple of guys, 2 or 3 guys, into actually having to put on tons of staff. So we're going to interview these guys ourselves as part of this podcast and showcase their success, because the platform itself is a blueprint for success. You jump onto the platform, you utilize the available systems, and take on our advice, which is always the hardest things to do because some of our advice can be quite confronting and challenging. But you take on our advice, and we will see people do well.
Yeah, and the confronting part is the fact that a lot of people become used to a standard process, and we're going to be challenging whether that process is the best way to keep moving forward.
Well,
the business process is what I'm referring to.
Business processes, and that's online and offline. We do challenge the offline stuff as well, both having sort of dealt in different types of corporate environments and certainly dealt with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of small businesses. I previously had ISO accreditation, which I don't force ISO accreditation onto anyone, but certainly if they're wanting to take that step, we're able to position them in a way that enables them to take that leap of faith into the quality assurance space. There are a whole bunch of different things we can potentially present to you, depending upon how your business is positioned and what your growth trajectory looks like, and where you're headed, and what sort of staffing you have, and so on. There are a lot of moving parts to all of this, obviously.
We're starting to sound like business coaches there, the way we're talking. And in a way, we are for our growth clients.
For our broker growth clients, yeah, absolutely. We introduce, we don't call it broker growth anymore. It's called a platinum group. We do have a smaller mastermind group and a platinum group, and all of them achieve different things. For the platinum group, we obviously guarantee the $120 million a year in volume, but they have to do everything we say. So that's an invitation only program, and we just guarantee success because we know how to do it. But then we go out and set up your real estate partnerships and all sorts of weird things. So it's a great program though, but don't ask us about it because we probably won't take anyone on now until February or even March. That's 2021. So guys, mortgage brokers, real estate agents, financial advisors, accountants, and so on, those people in the finance space have not known what digital marketing is meant to look like until now, with the exception of our former growth people, not all of who saw success. Right? I'm the first to admit, all but of the hundreds of brokers we've put through that program, there is one person that had a complaint. One. But not all of them saw the kind of success we wanted them to. You need to assign a marketing budget. You need to apply effort and energy and so on into your marketing. You'll hear these people, these knuckleheads, these boneless, they're just idiots. Talk about the fact that, your website, you don't need a website anymore, and you don't need to generate content for your website and all sorts of stuff. We give you video creation tools, creating voice drops for your SMS system, for example, which is one of the modules, very integrated and highly efficient, effective SMS marketing platform. Creating voice drops is done by clicking a button in your browser and recording it. The same sort of practice applies for generating video content. We do have a facility for recording directly into your browser, but I haven't made that available yet. Instead, we recommend people use Instagram. It takes 5 seconds to fire up Instagram and record a quick video. Very, very easy to do.
Yeah, and it's got all the processing and the filters and everything in there, which makes it very easy to make it look decent too.
And we've got the capacity on our end to apply things, entry, the entry animation, the exit animation, all that sort of stuff. And it sends to all your social media networks and everything else, but also to your website. It posts to your website as a video. There are so many things that we've provided to make life easy for people, and we need them to engage with that sort of stuff. And I tell people all the time, by the way, a web page, a single page on your website that has a video is 54 times more likely to appear on the page one of Google. Now, you're not going to appear on the page one of Google unless you have a content management creation strategy in place. I don't know why I did this from chair to chair. But you're just not going to see lots and lots of SEO success. And I've had SEO clients in the past. I should call them bronze SEO clients that because it was part of the growth package. It's part of the broker growth package, which was the most amazing program ever delivered to the mortgage industry. It's responsible for more successful brokers in this country than any other program that has ever been introduced. That is just how it is. But as part of that, we had a bronze SEO service, which was really basic management of SEO and certainly all the guidance in the world that people needed. And I saw people get upset. Why is my website not on the first page of Google yet? What have you done to make that happen? And then people sign up to a article distribution service, and 100% of the articles on their website, 100% of the articles on their website is duplicate content. So Google all of a sudden sits back and its algorithm merits everything on the basis of expertise, authoritativeness, and trust, EAT, which is discussed in one of the podcasts, I think. If we haven't, then it pops up in podcast number 12, which is on SEO. And Google says, well, this person has none of those three attributes. Therefore, we won't rank his content. So I tell people, you have to work for stuff in digital. Digital doesn't come for free. We can rank your website on the first page of Google almost overnight, maybe 3 days, if you want us to. But it won't stay there for longer than a day. It'll drop off just as quick. You need a long-term and sustainable SEO strategy. And our system, our platform obviously has all the SEO tools you need for page SEO, for on-site form conversions. Before I was saying that the notion you send a landing page to an off-site service is utterly absurd, right? Now, I say this in every single podcast, and I'll continue to say this line in every single podcast. And when I do, I end up screaming it sometimes into the camera. All right.
I like how you took your breath there.
Oh, I needed to. I was just about to.
And we can summarise what you're saying by,
I didn't get to say what I was going to say.
Oh, okay, keep going.
You're like the great equalizer, aren't you? I'll get all angry and huffy and puffy, and then you'll just lean back and say something in a very Dominico voice.
That just makes it easy to do. You can just sit back and relax. Once you're vented, I think, good.
Once I've vented, I sit back, breathe for a little bit, and you talk.
Give you a chance to rebuild the pressure for the next vent.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? I was talking about these off-site landing pages and just the absurdity of it, the utter effing absurdity of it. Paid representation, saying go out and spend $50, $100, $200 a month, whatever it is, on this little service that does nothing really but provide landing pages, and no integration, no escalation, no conditional content, none of that sort of stuff that is absolutely necessary. It's mandatory for a marketing funnel, right? So it's ignored on these off-site services. All they need to do is provide something vanilla for the average punter. Look, if you're an independent business and you go out and partake in digital marketing yourself, and you don't want to use our free product, Uranus, by all means, fill your boots. Go out and use whatever service satisfies whatever criteria you have, whatever you want to do in digital. Before you do that, though, and waste all that money, give us a call. Our free product might be sufficient because it's better than, probably 80% of all the products on the market. We'll come to talk about that in a second. But I say this on everything. It relates to SEO, it relates to conversions, it relates to the success of your website and all that sort of stuff. It's a big picture statement because there are a lot of moving parts to it, like the form, the automation, the lead magnet, the conditional content that takes place by way of a submission, the escalation that applies by way of hitting a submit button. All that sort of stuff we're familiar with, and they're just what these guys talking about. It's really simple stuff, though. If you listen to some of our longer podcasts, you'll get a good appreciation of it. But every single page on your website is a potential organic entry point. Every single page on your website is a potential organic entry point. Traffic can come from search engines, Google, Bing, for example. They can come from social media. They can come from word of mouth. They can come from email signatures. They can come from anywhere. Okay, traffic originates at your website, which is the center of your marketing universe, from anywhere. Right, so every single page on your website, doesn't matter what page it is a potential organic entry point. Or forced entry point, but we're talking about the organic stuff here. It's a potential organic entry point. Therefore, every single page on your website is a type of landing page. Every single page on your website needs to provide some sort of conversion opportunity. I'm going to say that again. Can I say that like 10 times? Every single page on your website needs to provide some sort of conversion opportunity. If you're sitting back and you're saying to yourself, my website doesn't convert, and that's the first comment I get from brokers when I talk to them about SEO. As part of our growth program, our retired growth program, we had a long questionnaire, and I used to ask brokers about their SEO strategy and so on, knowing what the answers would be. And I get no business off my website. It does nothing for me. It's kind of just there. right? If you manage your website correctly, it can be the most efficient and effective and powerful means of driving organic business into your marketing funnel. I have guys that do, 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 sometimes organic inquiries every week or month, depending upon who they are and the kind of effort they apply to their website. More than they would get with their advertising. So advertising becomes a secondary or a third tier means of driving traffic. And I've always said advertising, if you need to advertise, right, if you need to advertise and you're a sole trader, then you've hit a point where we have a problem, because you need to be able to drive that organic growth naturally. Obviously, but you need to be able to grow naturally. You need to have certain things in place before you revert almost to paid promotion. And that's despite the fact that we provide the highest volume, the most sophisticated, the most powerful, the most unique, and the most positioned Facebook and advertising and marketing experience in the industry. And that applies to everything, by the way. We introduced Google AdWords and Facebook advertising into this country with a number of other people. Obviously, it wasn't just us. Apologise for this coughing. Maybe it's all the nasty screaming. I have had this for 2 weeks. It's all these podcasts we've been recording. I end up doing like 10 hours of talking every day. So, what was I saying?
We have the most.
I say that despite the fact we have those programs in place. But the podcasts I'm going to start doing with our clients are those that came to us for Facebook marketing and are yet to place a Facebook ad because they're too busy with the traffic there that originates elsewhere.
Yeah, you should probably repeat that statement. So they came to us because they wanted us to do their Facebook advertising, but they didn't actually have a Facebook ad placed because of the organic growth in the back end and everything else, just the existing clients being approached and
we jumpstarted
the other programs.
We jumpstarted one guy. I introduced maybe 60, 70 million in volume to his business in a month. But this is one guy specifically I'm thinking of. And that gave us enough breathing room over the following 6 or 7 weeks to introduce some other strategies, some referral programs, have a real fundamental and working relationship with people. Part of our system includes partnerdashboard.com.au, which is an ancillary service that's reserved for Sales Tracker clients at the moment. Sales Tracker has its own mechanism to support people logging in and seeing how things are going. Our system sort of takes it 1 or 2 steps further and integrates email headlines and calendar bookings and phone calls that come through, which is next generation in every respect. What I'm talking about is next generation marketing. Our next generation marketing, though, is probably 20 generations ahead of what the mortgage industry is familiar with, though, and that's the problem. Yeah. So, the relationship stuff, managing your own internal database, there are 3 or 4 different strategies I introduced to people initially, at least to the people we work with directly. I will talk to everyone about this in the videos we do and say, before you place your first ad, please do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and go through 5 steps. Because if you manage those, you'll get a ton of volume through your business in a very short period of time, which gives you enough leverage, or you're able to leverage your time more efficiently to introduce other mechanisms into your business flow and build upon that initially, rather than just jumping into Facebook ads. And I want to talk about that. When you launch Facebook ads, so when you're in need of business, so if you're a business and you need to get more people through the door, so you're not busy enough, and then you launch those stupid, I'll refrain, those stupid goddamn ads and send them off to a third-party landing page site, that's where it ends. That ad gets people onto a mailing list, right? Obviously, most of the time. But it's sending people on an offsite landing page. So that landing page is only ever accessible or only ever promoted by way of actually paying money. It's not an organic entity. And you can't suck people through into the marketing funnel the way... So if you get organic traffic onto your website, if you get someone... an organic visitor to your website, they're interested in your business in some way. If you have an offer that is extraordinary, and this is where offers become really valuable, more so than the advertising, right? More so than the advertising. But if you've got an offer that's amazing on the front page of your website or under each article, that's applicable and relevant to the content on that page or the subject matter on that page, or as we use it in the system, it's called an interest on that page, you will convert mammoth amounts of traffic. Mammoth amounts. We've got one page on our website that has amassed over 400,000 email subscribers. One page. Unfortunately, it is the most pointless page, and it's a global audience. And that's the FAA search database, so the API that lets you search aircraft accidents and incidents, and ATSB accident reports to the Australian aircraft database, all that sort of stuff. It's a very funky little system. People are obviously looking for it. And by way of that, there's an aviation subscription list that subscribes to our flight.org website, which is one of our own internal publications. And people are sucked in via that. So there are pages that have had 30 or 40,000 subscribers. Yeah, just on a single page. And that's why our list is so large. It's because we know how to get people into a marketing funnel. Now, here's the thing for us. We only deal with Australian businesses. Right? We don't deal internationally, at least not at the moment. We don't want to. Right? We'd rather be able to talk to people on the phone when we need to and just manage the local market and assist the local market first rather than going elsewhere. So,
they're a good example where you're talking about every page being important and being an organic entry point. That example you gave about the API for the FFA.
FFA?
FSA. And that's a good example where it's an organic. People come and land on that page. Yeah, that's a good example of that.
There are a number of pages on our site that all rank as the top in Google. And that's unintentional. You know, we don't have to work at SEO. We don't work at getting our front page, our website on the front page of Google. We don't work at that. We work at getting certain posts on the front page of Google. So if people land on specific, or if they're looking for a specific type of thing, we want those articles to be there. And we post, on average, with the exception of the last 12 months, we post on average 5 to 7 times a week on our blog. We're in the last 12 months, we've had to provide a course correction for ourselves. Our previous growth program was extraordinary in that we charged $7,200 plus GST. All right, $7,200 plus GST. Obviously, our new program at the moment is like 80% less than that, right? So it's a massive and substantial saving. The one thing we don't do anymore is provide as much of our time, because we used to spend hundreds of hours with our brokers to ensure that they saw, ridiculous success. We didn't want them to fail. Where was I headed with that? What did I start off with?
I'm not sure where you're going. I was thinking of something else. I was thinking about the SEO when you were talking about the front page, because actually when I was driving here, there was this dodgy little, not much money was spent on saying guaranteed to be on the Google front page within 3 to 6 months. And I thought that was interesting. At least they said 3 to 6 months. They didn't say 3 to 6 days.
No, 3 to 6 months is realistic,
so
but
there are
what that's predicated upon, right?
Yeah. But also I was thinking about that is, we'll go into the SEO discussion, because it can look like you're on the first page of Google when you're not, because the way it customizes results to yourself. But that's something we'll go into in one of the other podcasts.
Yeah, if you're logged into, it's worth touching on now so people know what you're talking about. But it's based on geography. The algorithm works off previous browsing, associated interest, history, all that sort of stuff. So I've looked up brokers, and they're on page 1 in here, and they're in Brisbane, going, but a Sydney-based broker, and they're saying people I'm here in Brisbane at the moment. I'm on page 7. What's going on? There's always Google. You have to treat Google as a human being now. You have to treat it with the same level of respect, and Google's AI is like, in terms of its machine learning and its ability to apply algorithms in order to determine interest and do so is lightning fast. Like, it's just ridiculously fast. The ability that they've got to assess what businesses are most suitable for you and then return those on screen is out of control good. So, look, SEO is slowly becoming, well, it has. In the last 12 months, in the last 18 months or 2 years even, Google has moved away from these an algorithmic assessment of your page to say, let's assess EAT. And by the way, financial pages are also governed by a Google principle called YMYL, which is your money or your life. And that's a Google term, not ours, obviously, because it's a ridiculous term. But that applies to all financial services and healthcare and so on. There are a whole bunch of categories that are covered by this YMYL. So the finance industry, unless someone's specifically looking for something finance related, they're not going to find you. And even when they do, you have to provide a balance. But you have to satisfy the attributes and criteria of EAT. And that's demonstrated not just on-site but off-site as well. They use LinkedIn, for example, as a ranking factor. If they're able to link via rel tag or whatever, they're able to link you to a LinkedIn profile. So you almost have to have a presence everywhere. If you're being published in traditional news media or you're appearing in television and so on, you need to promote that because that will, again, contribute towards the... being on television or print media is EAT all in one hit. So it's a really good way to go. And by the way, our guys last year did about, in the last 2 years, they've done about 75 to 80 appearances on news media. I've gotten phone calls at 4 a.m. saying, can they be on camera at 5:20? I've sent emails out so many times to the guys saying, guys, I know it's late. This is at 1 a.m. in the morning. And I say, I know it's late. I've sent out text messages at the same time. I said, but I need someone at 5 a.m. Who's around? And there's always someone that responds. There's always a broker up because they work ridiculous hours. But that news media aspect of it is something that all brokers, I guess, would like to gravitate towards, but none of them know how. And obviously we deal with that as well in our standard platform-based one. If there's a video there on getting yourself in media, we just talk about that. Obviously not everyone can get themselves in news media. So you have to present yourself in a certain way. You have to be well-spoken. You have to be extremely knowledgeable. And you have to be somewhat prolific in the way you represent yourself via a video medium yourself, via LinkedIn, on your website, on your Facebook pages, and all that sort of stuff. So there's a bunch of hoops to jump through, but it all comes back to content generation. Right. And by the way, we do provide an article submission service. Before I was having a go at article submission services, and I do dislike them. But we do have an article distribution service. Why? Because the industry expects it.
But also we make sure that with those articles we do put the correct tags and SEO procedures in place so it doesn't
we follow SEO best practice. Yeah.
That was a quick way of saying that. I would have got there in about a minute.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of very specific guidelines that have to be. See, duplicate content, if you've got a quote, here's something on duplicate content. If you've got a quote within your website, if I was to quote Seth Godin, all right, by definition, remarkable things get remarked upon. Right? If I put that into an article, Google's going to see that and go, wow, you're just stealing his stuff. Unless they're able to establish context, then, and I don't know how they would do that, but so you have to cite that as a quote. You can put that in quote tags, you can put it in cite tags, you can do all sorts of things. Unless you know this, you're going to be just punished over and over and over. So when you have an entire page that is duplicate content, obviously that makes its way deeper into the Google system. It's less likely to be rendered. It's not punished necessarily in isolation. News releases, press releases. There is just cause for duplicate content in any number of cases. But if that's all you have on your website, you're in for a world of hurt. Even trying to plagiarize something, Google's clever enough to know if you take off those BS articles from the MFAA's website, they provide 3 or 4 articles for people and say, oh, these are yours. You can do what you want with them. But what people have to understand there is in using them, it's duplicate content unless you apply the appropriate tags and the appropriate attribution, the canonical URL, all that sort of stuff. Then Google will see that almost as theft. They're unable to distinguish between, legitimate use and illegitimate use. So you must provide all those things I just said. And when you do provide, you have to follow best practice. And that's why our system will, it won't just submit an article. It'll submit an article. It'll submit optimized images because our images are constructed differently. Everyone has a different size post container on their website, don't they? Some people have 800 pixels. Some people have 1,000 pixels. Some people have 30%. Everyone has different size, and they might want a different picture to appear at a different size. So when we send an image, that's automatically scaled. So the image isn't going to be this big image that renders very, very slowly. It is optimized when we send it to your site, and it's minimized and so on. It sends all the SEO tags. It applies all the attribution tags, everything else. It just does everything. I mentioned once before. Oh, pardon me once again. I should have got myself a bottle of water. You have one, don't you? Yeah, bastard. You didn't think of getting me one, did you?
I was looking for Pepsi.
Okay, but there's 99 Co, which it's a really good site. I like the authors. I like their material. It's very pedestrian, I guess, in the way they present it and stuff. It's priced at about $100 a month, but 99 Content, I think they're called 99content.co or something. And you can't fault them as journalists. They are so good in their writing, exceptional, but their delivery sucks. Right? Their delivery is non-compliant. That's the bit that bothers me about them. I've been meaning to call them for like 8 weeks and say, guys, switch to our system, because you can submit compliant material to these websites, or not compliant material because their material itself is compliant, but submit it in a compliant way that satisfies SEO criteria. There are little things like that are overlooked. And I have one client that uses them exclusively for all his content, and it irritates me because he at the same time he wants the SEO benefit. He will not get that. So I guess what I'm saying, if I go full circle and say, okay, first of all, your site is the center of your marketing universe. We've established that. All your landing pages, your Facebook traffic, your Google traffic, your YouTube traffic, which is performing well at the moment, all that traffic we're sending to people to your site from any location, for any reason, at any time, whether it's promoted or not. There needs to be some sort of conversion opportunity. It needs to be sucked into your website. Now, one of the primary mechanisms, obviously, to pull people in and get people through your marketing experience, your marketing funnel, is good SEO, and it is essentially free. All you have to do is be better, more prolific, more vocal than the other guys.
And regular and consistent in your content.
Consistent. And it does have to be good content. Like, you can't write garbage. It has to be well thought out, present some interesting ideas. Content is still king. All right? Content is still king. Content, they say content is fire, and social media is the gasoline. Right? If you write the right stuff, people will be drawn to it, and that includes search engines. And it'll be referenced. Yeah, we get referenced in news media sometimes, and they provide a link. That gets so much traffic to your site. Or they'll quote you. And again, that people will Google you and find you. It's just important. So this BS mentality of going to lead pages or Kartra, which is kind of I saw an article recently about a 70-year-old lady who looks 30. That's Kartra. It's deceptive. You know?
Photoshopped or?
No. This is
actually
legitimate. If you Google this, you'll
yeah.
find it. It's this 70-year-old lady, 72 years old, and she looks 30. Like, I don't know what happened. She's just douses herself in cucumber pickle. What's that brine called? That stuff. There's a movie that came out quite recently where a guy's preserved in pickles for 100 years with Seth Rogen. No, you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking to the wrong guy, aren't I? But in any case, Kartra is one that particularly bothers me because they talk about the conditional experience on your site. They talk about all this sort of stuff, none of which applies. Zero of it actually applies. In fact, they don't talk about the conditional experience. They talk about the course-correcting email experience. But that's just simple triggers on link clicks and open emails and stuff like that. They make it out to be this huge, massive feature. What they don't talk about is the stuff that we introduce, which is if you click on a link in an email, it takes someone to your website. The website itself will recognize that user. It'll recognize their interest. It'll recognize their behavior. It will record their name, email, all those sorts of personally identifiable bits and pieces into a cookie and save it in session. We'll start to build a profile on that person and return a course correcting, very conditional, relevant, high converting experience to that person. That's
the chameleon effect.
That's the chameleon effect. But that's, and I think we've got a podcast on that almost, maybe.
Yeah, and with the chameleon effect, as you were saying, it's the website adjusts and modifies itself to show what is most likely the interest that that person wants to see. Yeah,
the thing is you can have two links, though, in the same email, and based on the link that is clicked, you can alter your website, not just alter the behavior of subsequent emails that are sent. So, for example, if you click on a specific link, it might unsubscribe you from specific emails and resubscribe them to something else and do all that sort of stuff. So it is very course correcting and conditional. It's this binary true-false mechanism that applies, and every time they interact with something else happens. But we've talked about it before at length. Our triggers are extensive, and I think we have perhaps a podcast that is dedicated to it, or we did talk about it in one of the others, where our triggers are based on not just email triggers, but website triggers, clicking on internal links within a website or just visiting a page within a website. We've got telco triggers based on people calling you, inbound phone numbers, triggers associated with the Venus report we provide, which is a finance report. It's a self-qualification tool. People go through and just get some information on stuff. They answer a bunch of questions and it sends them a report with specific details, lots of graphs and pictures and things. And then that report, PDF report, includes very customized links for that user. So if they click on links there, that's a trigger. We've got triggers on, what else we got triggers on? There's 7 primary groups of triggers.
The social media has got some triggers on it.
Social media triggers. A lot of those are hidden, by the way. And the triggers that apply there. See, triggers can be applied for anything. And this is probably something that needs to be understood is there's no end to the number of triggers you can potentially provide someone. Wistia triggers are a really good one, by the way. Watching a certain percentage of video, a certain percentage of their podcasts and stuff can action certain triggers. But we were talking about this the other day, and I know I've put a paragraph or two into our digital marketing guide that we make available from our website, or from, if you're watching this video, there's probably a link somewhere.
Down there.
Well, I said that in one of the others. I said down below, and it's actually above.
Oh, we moved it. Okay.
Yeah, the video's below the lead magnet. Lead magnet's sort of as high up as you can get it, because you want it ideally in the top fold, top half, top page. So I'm saying this slowly because I'm trying to.
Wistia, we're talking about the triggers.
The social media triggers, for example. So if someone comes off Facebook, and if someone lands on a specific page, and then if someone clicks on a specific link, okay, there are 3 attributes now to that action that has taken place before a trigger takes effect. We're not going to make that available to our clients straight away. Like, that system is hidden, is genuinely hidden. And I think the plan was to roll it out after 12 months, or after 12 months you sort of get access to this really advanced trigger system we haven't talked much about it because it's so detailed and very abstract in use. So if someone comes from Twitter and they land on a page and they subscribe to something, again, there are 3 more actions. So you can provide all these different actions that all these conditions that have to be satisfied before a trigger takes effect. It's much easier to say, if someone clicks on that link, do this.
Yeah, so that's the initial triggers you get access to.
The initial triggers are really easy to use.
Once you get used to that and you start using it in an effective way, then we look at the more advanced triggers after that.
Yeah, there are a ton of different triggers.
And appropriate use of them too.
Appropriate use, that's a really interesting one, isn't it? Do you want to qualify that?
Well, yeah. Look, you can set triggers up for anything, but does it make sense? One of the ones that we like to use is someone comes and phones the company. They're on a queue. It runs out, ends up on a voicemail. Now, the fact that they're on a voicemail can generate a trigger. Now, an SMS that maybe goes back saying we're busy is appropriate there. Then you might have someone who just dials in and just hangs up straight away. Now, should we be setting up a trigger at that point, subscribing them to a list or sending them messages? Like, you don't really know the context there, so what makes sense at that point there? So, look, the triggers you can set up in the system, but they need to be in sync and integrated in such a way that you're not stepping any boundaries of people's personal or what they like to. If someone calls up and all of a sudden they're getting all these SMSs, that you've stepped a boundary there, they're not going to be happy about that.
The one off an inbound call is a trigger that I don't think is overly intrusive because it's connected to the telco system. So someone calls in and a message is sent to their phone almost before the phone ends, before the call ends kind of thing. And you go, thanks for the call, or we're busy, we're this, we're that, or we're currently closed,
But that's fine. You're saying thank you. You just see that's appropriate. And that's
you're talking about an action trigger.
Yeah. But that's appropriate there. It's within what you would expect or what would be reasonable, that particular example. Yeah.
Yeah. The example we gave in the third podcast, I think, was the If Ashley and Madison, which is a dating website for married men and married females. There must be married females as well. I don't know. But that website, if they employed the use of triggers and if they employed SMS triggers associated with a page view, that could be quite damaging because, you could visit a specific page or you could open up your profile and then based on just viewing that page, it can send you a trigger and say, hey, thanks for visiting Mashley and Addison, the best cheating website in the world kind of thing. But of course, your phone's in your wife's handbag. She picks it up and goes, oh, that's not good. Oh, I do remember saying that because you said, oh, maybe it's a good thing. That's an easy way of telling your wife that you're doing the dirty. So, yeah, we do recommend you exercise caution with page triggers especially. If someone hasn't visited your website in 3 or 4 months, and this is where it's kind of valuable, because the page triggers, a website page trigger also potentially or optionally creates a task in a CRM or in Microsoft Planner or something like that, some planning tool. And that's what I like. It's not necessarily send them an email straight away or send them this or send them that. It's, okay, this person for some reason is coming back to our website and they've re-entered our marketing funnel. Now we need to obviously manage that re-entry as best we can. And part of that might be, depending upon what page they visit, all that sort of stuff, because each page potentially has its own triggers. But the best course of action might be actually calling them, contacting them, remembering nothing converts more effectively than real-world phone calls.
Yes, phone calls are absolutely necessary.
In terms of the telco triggers...
I love the phone. I'm on it too much.
The
use of the phone, just calling people, I just find it so much easier than spending half an hour writing an email.
Oh, yeah, emails back and forth, man.
Yep.
That's nuts. Unfortunately,
especially when it's happening instantly, like you're there actually back and forth on the actual email.
Yeah, I know. Well, we sit 7 or 8 meters across from each other, maybe 10 meters across from each other, and we'll use Microsoft Teams to talk to each other. Well, sometimes that's because you don't want to disturb the other guy.
Or the spider in the corner.
Itsy.
Oh, that's what I was trying to remember the name.
Yeah. There's a spider right up there. You guys can't see it. It's about 10 to 15 metres away.
Our office pet spider.
Yeah, I like spiders though. I just think they're intriguing. And I'm sure this one understands me. It's like Charlotte from Charlotte's Web. I'm sure this little fella understands what I'm saying.
That's why I'm glad it's near your end.
Well, that's why it's at my end, because I'm kind to it. Anyway, so triggers are fantastic, but the telco trigger I like more than anything else, because this is another trigger, is adding people to Facebook custom audience. I think that is just the most powerful.
That's a great one.
In terms of your retargeting and so on. If somebody calls your business after hours, sure, they might get an SMS trigger or something similar. They're going to leave a voicemail, whatever else. But you can potentially retarget them with an escalated ad. You wouldn't retarget them with your basic, entry level sort of way top of funnel ad, but you might go a little bit deeper and target them with a messenger bot finance report or something, just to keep their interest. Because, and the reason I am leaning towards that is because we don't know where they're going after that phone call. Right? If we don't answer the phone, somebody else will. And if they're on yellow pages and they call, they're not open, they'll just call the next guy until somebody answers. Most people don't care what mortgage broker they use. If they're looking for a mortgage broker and they don't come without recommendations and they don't know who they are, so they're kind of new to the market, of which 42% of the population has not dealt with a mortgage broker in any way whatsoever. So there's always this big 42% chunk of the market. And that's what these Kartra ads, these really bad, horribly bad, disgracefully bad ads, I think, trying to capitalise on, is to stop people calling the banks themselves, which itself is a bad message, by the way. That is a flawed message because they never actually get to it. And I'll show you these ads. I'm going to show you right now. Can I show you right now while we're recording?
Well, yeah, because I haven't seen that. And these were the ones that you just saw come up just last night. So
all last night. Yeah. You need to go through. Okay, that was an interesting ad. That's actually for a developer. That one, the home loan destroyer. Okay, that's an interesting. Don't say it out aloud, but that's an interesting service. And check out how long the ad is.
Yeah, very, very distinct.
Yeah. And
to the point.
Read the copy. That is a brilliant ad.
Yep.
Okay.
So there are good ads out there.
Oh yeah. Some people do a fantastic
and there's bad
job.
ads, and so obviously we want to lead people towards the upper end of that scale.
All right. Look at this garbage.
Yes, I wouldn't even waste time reading that.
This is an ad for mortgage holders.
Yeah, it's that long.
If you're thinking about refinancing or the traditional way, ... Why 4 dots? Please don't. There's a grammatical error in there and a spelling error already. Don't get me wrong. You do need to refinance. Have you heard of mortgage loyalty tax? And, by the way, if we go back here, this ad is the same. Now, they're all putting these little emojis in. Notice this guy's emojis here are the green ticks. Check this out.
It's actually exactly the same layout.
It's exactly the same layout. Paragraphs.
They changed the emoji. That's it. Yeah.
They're essentially the same, and the grammar is just bad. I don't understand why that applies. Have you ever seen Donald Trump's tweets?
I didn't waste my time listening.
Dot. He uses all.
How many dots have they got there? 6, 5.
Okay, look at that. 1, 2, 3. Space dot. Space dot. Space space space, and then into and. Wouldn't we all love one of those? They're talking about they are money-making machine. It is a spam ad. I wouldn't dare call that guy on the basis of that ad. I'm thinking, what a goofball. And that would not work on the eastern suburbs of Sydney in any respect. You might get some, I hate to say it, but you might get some Brisbane people respond to that. But no one in Sydney would respond to that. You know how you talk about the segregated audiences and specific targeting and different types of demographics and so on. And by the way, there's that same ad all over again. If you're thinking about refinancing the traditional way, please don't. Why?
Is that a different person? Because that's
Yeah.
exactly the same
Yeah.
wording.
No, look.
Yeah, so they're long ads and
That's
they're using the same wording.
That's Finn. I'm saying these. I don't think anyone will. That's SR.
Yeah.
They're all the same. That is disgraceful. And they came one after the other after the other.
It'd be interesting to know whether the brokers themselves realise that the ad's been duplicated across others. They probably don't even realise that that's what's happening in the back end.
I'm going to pull up Facebook here. Right? I'm going to scroll to see how long it takes. Aha. There it is.
Another one.
Okay, another one. That's, another one. And for some reason, this guy's put a picture of himself at the beach. And it's non-compliant. It's already non-compliant. God damn it.
There is.
Have a look at the title.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, for F's sake, guys. Kartra.com. I'd love to know who's pushing those ads because they are the worst goddamn ads in history. We have that, and look, I'm going to show you something.
We need an
I'm going
ice
to prove
bucket,
a point.
don't we, around here in future?
You mean because of the heat?
Yes, not just that, cool you down.
Okay, there's that one. Have a look what happens. Okay, I don't use Facebook very much, but I do have a look at.
And these aren't screenshots. This is scrolling through Facebook, and they're coming up.
I can show them. I'm scrolling through Facebook there.
If it focuses, yeah.
I've just come across I haven't come across another ad yet. I've got one for Westpac. And it's 3 simple questions in Messenger, and okay. I'm not going to do that. I haven't actually come across a second ad, but I guarantee. Oh, there's one for. No, that's not an ad.
Yeah, and because of Facebook being Facebook, anytime we're discussing anything, we see the ads pop up. We were talking about property and Stocklands that appeared the other day. That was on YouTube, that not Facebook, that particular one.
Yeah, people have to understand that the nature of Facebook is very contextual. In that, I'm not getting any ads for some reason.
It hurt us.
It hurt us making fun. Oh, there's another one.
No, one will appear shortly. Yeah, it was going to appear sooner or later.
There's another one. Okay, I'll do a quick. That's another.
Well, it's good to see it's
that's
different.
Not a Kartra ad. No, that's actually different. That's not one of those rubbish Kartra things. I'd love to, like a Kartra, I should say.
We should
anyway
tape that and just show a video online of what occurred there.
You got to
tape that instead of video that.
Read the first line. Don't refinance through traditional.
Yep, there it is.
Yep.
Exactly the same ad.
Okay.
So what was that? So it took about, it didn't take long. That would have only been a couple of minutes.
In between those two, there was really only one ad for Westpac. So there wasn't much. But the point is, Facebook is very contextual, okay? It understands browsing behavior. So if somebody visits a multitude of broker websites, they've all got the Pixel installed, the Google Pixel installed. At least they should. Whether or not you're advertising on Facebook, you need to have the Pixel installed, and you absolutely need to be delivering and garnishing information from your own audience. This is something I might talk about real briefly, actually, because we have seen the same Pixel used for multiple brokers. There are a couple of people actually using the single Pixel.
If you're going to do that, what's a pixel?
That's my point.
Yeah.
So the Pixel is learning behavior of a site based on other people's traffic, because it's all aggregated. I hate that. It's Facebook don't punish it in any way. In fact, you can actively use the same pixel across multiple sites. You wouldn't dare use them across multiple client websites in the finance space. But I've taken screenshots of how this has been done. So, and I've got one guy that came to me, and to the best of my ability, the ads that are sent to other mortgage brokers are based on the people that opt in via your list, which is illegal and against the law. Okay, that is blatantly against the law. It'll cop you hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. The stuff that goes on in the industry is just disgusting, right? But the nature of Facebook, like I was saying, is very contextual. So if I'm visiting a whole bunch of mortgage broker websites, I'm not going to be subject essentially to the targeting of an individual's preferences, right, when they set up the ad. right? All of a sudden, Facebook will go, oh, this guy's looking for a mortgage broker. Let's show him a ton of mortgage broker ads until his behaviour changes. Whether I fit certain criteria or not. Now, I know I don't fit a lot of this criteria that people are using to target. Most people just lean towards healthcare and go, oh, healthcare is the be-all and end-all. Of course, that's not true. We show you why and how, and we show you how brokers have made 200 million in volume in a year based on minimal ad spend without using healthcare. Because if everyone's targeting the same group of people, guess what? They're all going to see the same stupid ads. And we don't want to. In fact, our guys...
And they'll become invisible. The mind will actually switch off on those ads very quickly.
In advertising, not to be different is virtually suicidal. Bill Bernbach, what's the quote I was reading before? Creativity may well be the last legal advantage we can take to run over the competition. That's Dave Trott. He's still around. He was born in, 47, 48? 50, he's 72 years old maybe. I know he's got the reason I know is he's got a Twitter account still. He's still got a website. Creativity, guys, it is the bee's knees. And part of the problem with these BS ads that make me want to vomit, right, is first of all, they're generic. I don't know what broker had what ad there. There was no single message that stood out except for that guy that called himself, I partially remember it. I probably need to see it a second time, the mortgage killer or something.
Destroyer.
The mortgage destroyer. That was actually quite clever. But if you actually read his ad, he's actually a building developer. He's not a mortgage broker. So we'll read that ad later on. Okay, second of all, is because they're only modified slightly, one ad is always going to perform better than another. So if you go to a guy and he's just feeding you generic BS ads, right? The ad he feeds you isn't necessarily going to be as good as the ad that he feeds someone else. One is always going to perform better. But they're almost always going to perform really poorly, right? Because they're just BS ads, right? And then they have the audacity to send them to Kartra, an off-site landing page service with the minimal amount of BS automation that Kartra provides. They have text messaging. It's not branded like ours. Ours is powered by Telstra. Text messaging, it's fully compliant. An amazing service that integrates with the voice drops, everything else.
That's our one.
That's our one. Yeah. That's our one. Kartra it is a bad system, and it doesn't have the same level of alphanumeric integration because it's offshore. When you're offshore, you can't have that measure of, at least through compliant measures, you can't have that same level of alphanumeric integration as it's sent through the Australian system because they'll flag it as spam and all sorts of weird stuff. Whereas if it's registered through Telstra and it's sent through Telstra to an Australian provider, you can have things like if we send from 1300 Belief, we can do so. If we want to send our text messages from Belief Media, we can do so. In fact, our standard text messaging number is actually a number. It's a dedicated number we assign to that. That's just text messaging. The email, look, our system's better, guys. We implore you, just check it out so we can help you. We want to help you. Our business is predicated upon helping brokers succeed. And we do want to eliminate this waste in the industry, this horrible representation that brokers are receiving, and they don't know it because they don't know any better.
I'm going to go back a bit here about the SMSs. Recently I received an SMS, a bit of marketing saying that end of year coming up, health fund rebates, take advantage if you haven't used any of the rebates. But interesting enough, the number belonged to another physio I'd seen earlier in the year. So they're obviously using the same service. So when it came up, I actually wasn't quite sure which physio it was if it wasn't for the actual context of the SMS. Yeah. So that's the other thing.
You do need your own provision number, yeah. I've seen them come from international numbers. An Australian broker service that I got a message from because I subscribed to everything. Yeah, it came from +224474. It was this really long random number, and I think that's garbage. You need to have your brand represented wherever you can have it represented. I do like, say, 1300 Belief, right? If we send it from 1300 Belief, sometimes, depending upon your phone application, it will recognise that as a number. It's clever enough to say, okay, the The prefix is 4 digits, and it's 1300, 1800, and then it's 6 digits. So let's convert that to numbers. So I do like that, but I don't like the idea of sending from 1300 belief for those occasions where if you send to iPhones and stuff, it won't transpose it. So it doesn't always work. And if people can't reply,
Yes.
if you want to reply, you have to. And that's why, when you register with the Telstra system, it asks for a primary number, the number that's associated with that account and it's validated, right? And that number then becomes a number people can reply to. But it's also, if it's sent through our platform, we'll also get a notification that it's been sent. So our platform keeps an ongoing record of all the SMSs that are sent and received for compliance-related purposes, and we've obviously got a full archive of those and so on. Then you get email notification of delivery, and all sorts of weird stuff happens. But
yeah, and in the last 6 months, people have probably noticed the regular failure rates on SMSs with the towers becoming a bit overloaded there, especially during March, April, May. So they do fail, and it's good to get that feedback so you can resend it.
The Telstra system, through the provisioned system that we have access to, and I don't know if this is the same as, I guess it's the same as through a phone, but it'll queue. So it'll sit there for as long as it takes to send. Normally it's instantaneously sent. Like there's normally no delay. If you're not using text messaging as part of your integrated marketing strategy, you probably need to, guys, and that's included as part of the system. We highly advocate it for RBA campaigns and things, because we had this long argument the other day where I was talking about it's expected that you would send an RBA email and an RBA SMS, and you said, no, it's not expected, it is, what's the word you used?
I'm trying to remember now.
And this is, I guess, one of those occasions where we have a slightly off-centre view of something.
Yeah,
and it doesn't happen very often.
I can't remember now. Yeah. So what you said was expected to me was more, it's more of it's just part of being a business. You got a loan. I can't remember now.
No, maybe I said it was essential and mandatory, and you said, no, it's expected. But the language that we used, that's important. Because
you used compulsory, and I had it one level down.
Maybe.
Yeah, there was one level of difference there.
Even so, text messaging is not mandatory, but certainly an email would be, because it's your part of your role is to keep people appraised of what their loan is doing and how much they're paying in the interest rate and all that sort of stuff. So,
but just to clarify here before we go on and forget, the SMS module is included in the system, but you do need to connect to Telstra, and then the fees associated with the sending of the SMS is between yourself and Telstra.
Yeah, so it's a business level application.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk you through that, by the way. There's a video on the in BLearn, and it takes 1 minute to set up an application. It's really, really easy. The reason we did that is so we didn't have to apply a margin to messages that were sent. If we had everything managed so if we were paying for your messages essentially until the end of the month, we would just naturally have to apply a margin to it, even if it was a cent per message or something, or even a quarter of a cent or half a cent, doesn't matter. There would have to be a margin of some kind, and we would have to anticipate that some people would send a lot of text messages and others would not send many.
Try to average it, yeah.
And we'd have to average it out and apply a fee, I guess, and maybe add $30 on every month or $25 on every month. So what we've done is said we set up your application, which is a genuine business asset, by the way. I do like the fact that businesses get access to this application. It can be used not just for our system, but it can be used and integrated with anything via the API we provide them, because we do have a middleman API that handles all the text messaging in a really cool way. So it can be connected to any system on Earth. But from within our system, it's very panel driven. There's lots of options, and you can do whatever the hell you want. Send MMSs, voice drops, images, video, whatever. But you pay for your own messages. So you only pay for what you send. If you send 3 messages in a month, it'll cost you, 18 cents or something.
Yeah. So the rescue package includes access to that core system and not those modules which have additional telecommunication charges.
We have had...
or the article submission part of it module, yeah.
Yeah, the SMS is the sending of the SMSs is not included. That just requires a business application. You need a 10-digit Telstra number, account number. That's set up really, really quickly. We can help you do that. In fact, we can do it through our system as well. We've got access to actually create your account and all that sort of stuff. But we just prefer you did it yourself because you may not always have a relationship with us in the same way you do in the first 3 or 4 months of the bit. We just prefer it to be a business asset that's owned by you and cut us out entirely. Now, checking your battery, good on you. The other component you said was
telco module.
The article submission service and telco. Now, telco is a full VoIP MPBX system. That's a podcast in and of itself.
Yep.
In fact, what podcast? Can you read that?
No.
Oh, man. But there is a podcast where we talk about telco
9,
advantages.
10, somewhere around there.
Yeah, 9 or 10. It's coming up soon. I am looking forward to just recording some poocasts on some interesting... I say that, but poocast, but we actually own that domain name, poocast.com.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. At least I think we do. We used to. A lot of these old crappy domains I'm letting expire. But people say that all the time. I was watching Joe Rogan the other day and he mentioned poocast. I thought, that's interesting. He said that because that's... If someone types that in, they're going to come to our website, I think.
Maybe we should activate it.
I think it is activated. And that was, by the way, when we talked about coming up with a name for this podcast, I said to Dom, well, let's just call it poocast.com. Like, we'll call it our poocast. And I said, it means we can just talk shit. And again, I apologise for the language, but it's what I said. So there's poocast. Let's see where it goes. Is it doing anything?
Nope, just sitting there.
That'd be the internet that drops right off. I'll just leave that there. And there it is.
Oh, yep.
Goes to our website. So we still own that.
Perfect.
So we don't actually have a podcast name, do we? We call it the Belief Media Podcast.
No, we'll think of a name later on.
How about Beliefers?
We've got some internal names, but yeah.
Beliefers.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one.
It's like Believers, Justin Bieber fans, but we can have Beliefers. And I put that tagline at the end of the book that we've written. I want to believe.
That I can handle. I like that one.
That's a little nod to the X-Files.
Yeah.
And that comes after we describe what belief, the word, actually means and why we use it. So it's relevant, I guess, in context. But it does sound corny. I want to believe.
Better than Beliefers.
No, Beliefers is cool. You know, I registered that domain.
So what would the logo be? A bee on a leaf?
Sorry?
Don't worry. What would the logo be? A bee sitting on a leaf? Don't worry. Some of my own humour to entertain myself here, because this podcast is going
a lot longer than
we planned.
By the way, guys, we originally recorded this. If you've watched this far, God bless you.
It was meant to be 20 minutes.
Yeah, but look, we've
covered a good
talked about some interesting stuff. Okay, well, we should wrap it up then. So, guys, the purpose of this podcast was to introduce the rescue package. We do want to genuinely help those people that have been sold on a product that it doesn't meet our minimum standard. We do have our...
Sorry, what about products outside those four? We were discussing it before we sat down.
Okay.
Look, if you're on a product, if you've got a product and you're not happy with it, we do need to evaluate it. So look, still have a chat to us. We'll have a look at the product. If we believe it is a subpar product or one that's less effective than our free product, then we'll consider it as part of the rescue package.
A good rule of thumb is if you've invested in a program and it is in any way connected, I'm talking any way connected to lead pages, ClickFunnels, MailChimp, Kartra, Kartra.com that is, any of those really bad, mediocre, and it's kind of like they're the kind of sites when people go off and do a digital marketing course on how to sell digital marketing, right? So people will get invested in, I want to be a digital marketer, and they don't know shit about what they're doing. And they'll go off and do this course for 2 days, and they'll say, you connect this. This is how you do it, and this is how it works. And they know the basics and the very fundamentals. Obviously, 23 years after we were using that almost similar system, despite the fact it was integrated back in those days, it wasn't very good. Like, we were dealing with our own technology at a time where we didn't have scope to do what we do today, right? But 23 years after that, our competition are still using something that's similar to that, and that's irritating. And that's why our free product, Uranus, is, and we always say, is more effective, 3 or 4 times more effective in some cases than, in fact, almost all cases. I'd put a guarantee on that if I was 100% sure, but I'm about 90% sure it's at least 2 or 3 times more effective than all those paid products. We have seen it over and over and over again. I mentioned the other day, we've taken one product and replaced it with our free product initially during the transition, and that free product increased his return by 37 times. I said in the same sentence, though, I said that's not typical, and that's not a reflection of us, it's a reflection of the other product. Right, little bits were broken, stuff wasn't working, and the advertising was crap. So we said, look, when this guy came in, he said, we'll just put this in place for 24, 36 hours until we properly evaluate where you're at and put a proper strategic plan in place. And we just scrapped everything that existed, put our free product in place, and the results multiplied by about 37 times. And again, there are some fantastic companies. We go off to conferences and things all the time. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we won't get to the ones in like San Francisco and Hawaii this year and everything. Like, we go to these things all the time, and there are a bunch of Sydney participants. There are speakers as well that are from Sydney digital agencies, which we all know. We know really well. We used to, pre-COVID, we used to go every Tuesday morning for breakfast. And then because the breakfast went for so long, we said we'll make it a late lunch, because we used to go at 9 a.m. in the morning and finish up at about 3:30, 4 in the afternoon. So we said, okay, we'll make it a late lunch. So then we started meeting up at 2 in the afternoon, and then we go to sort of 7 or 8 at night, 10 o'clock at night sometimes, It was a really good chance to get together with these other people and hear what they're doing. So some of these people just have the resources, I guess, to invest in amazing stuff. But the problem with most high-end digital marketing, as you would appreciate, is it comes at a price. That's why we've taken what is traditionally a $500,000 experience, maybe not that much. It's
corporate level.
Corporate level marketing, and all the corporate stuff we do comes in the 6-figure range. Like, all of the corporate stuff we do is 6-figure. And we've taken a corporate experience and migrated it to the consumer market. And I think we're probably the first company in Australia to ever... Actually, no, there's one other in Sydney City, that's done a good job of it. They're really clever, actually. But they don't work in finance. But certainly specific to mortgage brokers, and having mortgage broker-specific modules and APIs for finance and real estate and so on. We're the only company in Australia to have done that. And we will be the only company for the next 5 years to have done that. Because the expertise doesn't exist elsewhere. People will have to go out and develop that, and develop the understanding, and develop suites of products and all sorts of things. So look, we just guarantee you it's, our paid product is obviously fantastic. Our free product, Uranus, is going through it's been evolved, I guess. We were looking at releasing that again in 2020, because we release it for small periods of time via our Facebook group or our Facebook page or via mailing list or whatever.
2021.
2021. So it'll be 2021 before we release it again. So we're actually we had a fantastic product. I say had. It's because we're thinking about changing that as well. And that is because the former growth program that we ran came with this plugin that was amazing. And I mean that. It was the only integrated plugin that provided full marketing functionality, probably in the world, right? It was one of a kind. It integrated Sales Tracker and Microsoft services, calendars, all sorts of stuff within the actual plugin, right? It wasn't very fault tolerant, and it needed to be updated all the time. and it took ages to load. Unfortunately, it was about 1.5 seconds of load time because the plugin itself was about 1 gigabyte in size. Right, there was a lot of stuff in there. Part of that reason is because all the geographic files had the definition files and stuff were like 500 megabytes, 600 megabytes, and then the cache file. You know, you could have hundreds of thousands of files in the cache file because you created those for each user. It wasn't practical. And unfortunately, despite the fact it was overwhelmingly amazing, and there's a whole bunch of articles on our website that talk about the old plugin. In fact, the tag is client plugin. There is a tag associated with all those posts. They do connect with each other, and so you still can read about it. But whenever we post something new that replaces the old plugin, and every system has been replaced, but whenever we write the new post, we'll put a notice up the top of the old post saying this is now deprecated and you should now refer to this information. But we are looking at making a bridge version of that plugin. So the plugin that we used to provide clients will become the new Uranus plugin. And the other option is we have the platform as it exists now is not dashboard based. It will be in 12 months. We had to get all the features in, quick smart, and had to experiment with stuff and all sorts of things. So it's actually a temporary kind of system. When it goes dashboard based, the price will increase again. All those sorts of things will happen. But we are looking at just pushing out a real quick bridged version of the platform for our free service. So a platform-based login where you've got access to your WordPress website. You can download a mini plugin for the connectivity. So we provide as many features, I guess, as we can without giving too much away. You don't want to give too much away. And that free product itself, again, is the lead magnet that gets people into our primary experience. But for those people that want to use the free product, by all means, fill your boots. It's fantastic and it'll serve you well.
We were discussing about that being potentially a light version of the platform with a reduced fee. So, we're looking at how that will go forward, yeah.
Well, the idea I had, and we might as well discuss it now, was we like branding things when there's a telco connection. Right? We brand our telco service as, I won't say it now in case we change our minds on that. I don't think we will. No, you're shaking your head. I think we will.
Just did in the last 24 hours.
So 1-300 funnels and 1-800 funnels, or 1-300 funnel and 1-800 funnel, because funnel is a 6-letter word. Yeah. So they become phone words. It's a smart number, and we thought that was an okay way of promoting our free product via 1-800 funnels, and make 1-800 funnel or funnels.com.au. I don't know anymore. Gee, that confuses me. We went and had a look at 1-800 flowers. It's not 1-800 flower.
Flowers, yeah.
Flowers. And obviously you need both domains. And so by the time this gets pushed out to market, we will have registered those domains. At the moment, we've only got the phone numbers, which are fantastic phone numbers to have, by the way. They are fantastic phone numbers to have. And I can't believe they were available when we went to buy them because, quite frankly...
Well, we were joking around about it being available and like, no, they wouldn't be available.
Yeah.
And then you checked.
Yeah, we hoard 1-800 and 1-300 numbers, just like we do domain names. Obviously, we've got the presence in the telco space as well, and you need to read our book to understand the significance of telco in our business model. So we do like telephone numbers. I like telephone numbers almost because they brand. So 1-800funnels.com.au becomes this free product that's fantastic and will satisfy the needs of 100,000 businesses in Australia, and they'll get it for free. What it won't include is social media, Google My Business, Wistia. Maybe you support Wistia, I don't know. Wistia is one thing we probably could support in a free product. It won't support a whole bunch of different things. It won't support maybe the high-level integrated Facebook stuff. We need to talk about that. That's one of the things we'll come to in a couple of weeks.
And our support time to that's minimal, yeah.
And our support time, because the modules are limited, will be very, very limited. And we might provide support exclusively via an online interface rather than any kind of contact form or phone number. Although if we call ourselves 1-800-FUNNELS, people will call that number. So maybe we need to rethink that. But I do like
stick
that.
with the numbers.
I do like branding as a phone number because people do not forget it. And I tell you now, if we go to, everyone knows what a marketing funnel is. Oh, what's this funnel? You know, they know marketing and funnels. There's some sort of connection there. So 1-800-FUNNELS, for anyone that has any kind of cursory or significant maybe understanding of what marketing does and how it works, will understand the significance of a number. It will be impossible to forget. And it'll be an easy product to promote because it will be free, but it will be essentially a working high-value lead magnet that escalates people into our primary experience.
Okay.
Wind this up, eh?
Yeah, I need to stretch and move.
Oh, so do I. We've both got bad backs at the moment. We hurt ourselves at the gym.
You're carrying a cabinet in your case.
All right, guys. Thank you very, very much for listening this far. If you have in fact listened this much, our telephone number here in the office is 1300-BELIEF. That's 1300-235-433. You can call us in Sydney on 02-8765-8886. Although for the rescue package, we were going to open up our support line for that,
Yes.
which is open up longer hours, as much as 24 hours a day, 02-8765-8887. If you call that and there's no answer, just let us know at what point it would be acceptable to call. So if you call at 3 in the morning, so I'm going to be up until 4:30 or something.
Yeah, especially if you're calling after hours. Yeah, give us an indication of when it's okay to call you back. Otherwise, you'll get a call an hour later, which might be 4 or 5 a.m.
Yeah, we do only have one person on at night, so it can take a while before that call is returned. So 1300-BELIEF, 1300-235-433 or www.beliefmedia.com.au. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Goodbye. We look forward to talking with you. Bye.